Hey everybody, it's Mandy from Chapel Forge. We're on day 3 of the Pantry Challenge. So we have some leftovers from yesterday, so I'm not pulling anything out for dinner tonight. We have some of that eye roast, that bison eye roast left, and I think we're gonna probably make it into nachos or something. We have a bunch of lime tortilla chips, the late July brand. We got them at Blessings of Hope. So we can use those up. We can make some nachos. We have plenty of kinds of cheese and peppers and vegetables and things. So I think that's the dinner plan. So I don't really need to do any dinner prep. Zad is working on breakfast. So I told you I'm on my sourdough journey. I started bread last night, but I'm using a different recipe because I wasn't crazy about the one I was using and it's just too sticky. So we're just gonna use that to make into fried bread. So Zad's gonna do fried bread on the cast iron skillet. Fried sourdough, and then we have some chipped beef that's in the fridge that we need to use up. We've got some sheep cheese. That's like a blue cheese, right? Like that, some kind of stinky cheese. And you're just gonna do those up on the skillet, put some eggs, put the meat on the fried dough, and we'll just have a tidy little kind of open-faced sandwich, I guess, for breakfast. So while Zad works on breakfast, I fed the sourdough starter. We might actually take half of this and just try to make a loaf of bread out of it. What the heck, we're just gonna try. But I did feed the sourdough starter so that I can probably start another loaf of bread here later today. I started this honey water yesterday, so I didn't really follow a recipe for this. I just sort of did it. I need to just kind of swoosh around my apple scrap vinegar. I'm kind of getting a calm yeast layer on there. So I need to just get that, you know, try to push that fruit down below the liquid line. And then I think I'm gonna feed the ginger bug. My soda is actually like, the mango strawberry soda is actually like pretty bubbly and actually carbonated. Like when I burped it this morning, it actually made like a pff noise, which is great. So I'm gonna feed the ginger bug, and then we'll see what our soda's like tomorrow. Tomorrow would be day 3, and usually between day 3 and 5 it's ready. So if it's ready tomorrow, then I'll start a new batch of ginger soda tomorrow. Okay, so this honey water that I made, this was just a complete whim thing that I sort of did off of something that Matt did. So I had a little bit of honey in the bottom of this jar. I added some orange peel to it and a little cinnamon. And I just sat it on the wood stove overnight just to sort of like, I don't know. And there goes the smoke detector. Sometimes the cast iron skillet gets a little smoky. Anyway, so.
You're not gonna be tasting good, what?
Right. So a little bit of honey, a little bit of orange peel, the cinnamon, sat it on the wood stove. It's kind of like just a little warmed from the wood stove. This is delicious. Like it's like, I don't know, honey tea. I think when Matt made it, he put like Earl Grey in it or something, which would also be delicious. But this is really good. Like, I don't know. I think this might become like a thing when our honey is almost out and there's just a teeny bit left in the bottom. Those are the orange peels. So good. So if you're unfamiliar with ginger bug, I will link Mary's Nest's video and instructions in the description. I learned about this from her. So I am using, I think it's organic. I can't remember. My parents got it for me, Blessings of Hope. I can't remember if it's organic. So I am using a spoon to peel this ginger. Basically, you just feed it 2 tablespoons of ginger, 2 tablespoons of water, a tablespoon of sugar. You do that process for 5 days and let it sit. As it starts to get like bubbles in it and things, then you can make your soda, and I'll link those instructions in the description. And I am really excited for this soda, so I'm hoping I can show that to you tomorrow and that it's delicious. All right, so this went really well. I mean, we haven't tasted it yet, but this went really well for our first time doing sourdough, kind of a flatbread or fry bread, whatever you want to call it. Zad's putting some onion garlic jam on it, which is from a local business called Ugly Acres. My mom got that for me for Christmas, and everything that Nicole makes is delicious, so I'm excited. So Zad put a little bit of that on the fry bread. He's frying up some of the dried beef, and then he'll probably just put a little cheese and some eggs on there, and we'll be ready for breakfast. So I mentioned before that we always plate for the littles and sometimes eat it and sometimes they don't. Today they're on like their 3rd bowl of applesauce. So they probably are not gonna participate in our breakfast, which whatever. I canned probably 200 quarts of applesauce that are on the shelf, and so I am happy to let them continue to work through the 2021 and 2022 applesauce stock, and it's good for them. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna see if we can't make some bread out of this. What the heck? It'll probably be flat, and we'll probably turn it into croutons, but that's okay. It's not gonna go to waste. Also, does anybody use reusable parchment when they're doing like lining their Dutch oven? I'm curious. I have some. but not quite as big enough size. I'd have to order some, but curious if it's worth it. All right, so we've been watching The Farmer's Table, which is Jess Sowers from Roots and Refuge. And I love her cooking videos. Zad says he loved paprika before we started watching her, which I agree. Smoked paprika is amazing, but she puts smoked paprika on everything. And so now we've been inspired to put smoked paprika on, you know, everything. So Zad has breakfast ready here. It looks amazing. We put a little sauerkraut on top. I'm trying to work through last year's sauerkraut. We might as well use it up.
Very sour.
It's yes. I mean, the taste is delicious, and it's actually still crunchy. It just may not have as many probiotic benefits as it did like when we first, you know, made it. My dad did make me some sauerkraut because he overbought cabbage. So he did make us some fresh sauerkraut for this year, so I really want to work through this quickly so that we can use that one. I think that one's been sitting maybe 4 or 6 weeks, so it's probably about prime. So we actually cleaned off the dining room table yesterday from Christmas, which is exciting, which means we can eat at the table. So we're gonna have breakfast, and then I will bring you probably some little nuggets of my, however this sourdough goes today, that I'm gonna try and salvage, and then we'll do some dinner. It's been a busy day. Jamie and I were working in the soap kitchen getting soap labeled. Zad's been working on mixers all day. He's got like 10 mixers right now that he's working on. So I am excited that dinner is pretty much ready. All we have to do is heat up the meat and throw it on some chips and some cheese and we'll be done. I did move my starter into a bigger container. So I talked to a friend today and she's like, I think maybe your starter is just not like alive enough, and I don't know. I'm gonna try and just give this like go back to 2 feedings a day and just see if I can maybe give it a little more life. I did do a float test. I know there's like controversy about whether a float test works or doesn't work, but I'm gonna try a float test. I did fail the float test earlier, so we're gonna try that again. I'm gonna feed it tonight here. I'd like to start a loaf of bread tomorrow. We did get this out of what we were just going to turn into fry bread. So I'm pretty excited about that because it's not too bad. I mean, it's got a decent amount of bubbles. The crumb is not awful. It's a little bit denser than we would want, and it did get a teeny gummy. I think I just didn't quite bake it long enough, but whatever. It's edible. It'll be good. I put some garlic salt and something else on top, like maple smoked bacon, maple smoked salt. What'd you say? Applewood salt, and I did cracked pepper. Yeah, so anyway, so we'll have that. And honestly, for our meal tonight, this is why I really, really want to get sourdough cranking, is we could always just throw this on toast. And if we toast this up, we're not even going to notice that it's gummy. So one other thing I wanted to mention is Bud has youth group tonight, so we're not going to probably eat until he gets home, which is not going to be till close to, I don't know, like between 8:30 and 9. So the yogurt that I talked about, I think I talked about it on day 2. I always keep that big Instant Pot container of yogurt in the fridge. So every week I make a gallon of yogurt and it makes just the best snack. So we had yogurt with granola. We always have fruit and granola on hand, or we can make granola because we always have oats on hand. So we did have some yogurt today as like a lunch snack or whatever. Zuzu just woke up from a nap. So she looks a little crazy. So we'll get dinner here, and then that will be day 3 of the Pantry Challenge. All right, so Bud is home from youth group. Everyone is starving. I had a meat stick because I could not hold out for dinner, but it's fine. All right, so I am in the pantry. We are going to do nachos tonight, so I'm gonna get some sweet chili sauce. I'm gonna pull some 2021 salsa. We have cheese. Oh, we need chips. So a quick note on where we moved to. I have never seen rats in my entire life. And when we moved here, I saw 2 dead rats in what was the goat barn. It's now the bunny barn and the wood barn and whatever. Barf. Anyway, we have like 20 commercial bait stations up. And I have to say, there was one little teeny mouse in the house like maybe a month ago. And other than that, I haven't seen anything. However, we still try to keep things as like animal proofed, rodent proofed as possible in here. So things like chips I usually put up high. Not that they can't crawl up these things, but they'd have to go to like a pretty extensive effort. So I haven't had any issues storing things up here. So when I get chips and things from like Blessings of Hope or Sam's Club or whatever, I usually put them up pretty high. So just like a little disclaimer, I've talked about this in my Blessings of Hope videos and my Sam's Club videos, trying to find chips that don't have sunflower oil in them or safflower oil or any of those things is hard. So while our diet is like 99% clean, that is one thing that, I mean, we could make our own chips, certainly. But when I can get like this entire thing of veggie straws from Blessings of Hope for like $10, and 2 of those bags would cost $10, they're decent snacks to have on hand. They're not the best, but they're certainly not the worst. And it's not like we eat them all the time. Literally, that thing is probably going to last us like an entire year. So anyway, I have my chips stored up here from Blessings of Hope. They're a little bit rough for the wear because, you know, they came from Blessings of Hope, but that's fine. So they expired in August. We don't pay attention to expiration dates, especially on things like tortilla chips, because it's sealed. They're not stale. They're not going to go bad. We don't worry about these things. All right, so Zad's got the meat in the pan. He put in some, we have this edamame, green goddess, marinade. Blessings of Hope, fine. This stuff's expensive. I looked these up.
I thought that was empanadas.
They're like $8 or something crazy. And if you're not familiar, at Blessings of Hope, you pay 60 cents a pound for things. You volunteer, you get a voucher, and then for your like compensation for volunteering, that sounds stupid because then you're not volunteering, but you know what I mean. You volunteer, you get the voucher, you get to go shop for 60 cents a pound. So everybody wins. Anyway, speaking of expiration dates, this expired in July. Doesn't matter. It's fine. We don't pay attention. Right. So that just got a twitch. It'll be okay. We are probably going to run out. We're definitely going to run out of shredded cheese during the challenge. So typically, we don't have a dairy cow yet. We're not making our own cheese. It's not cost effective to go buy milk and make cheese from that at this point. So we typically buy these big 5-pound bags from the Amish store. I can usually get these for, I don't know, $11 to $13 a bag, which is pretty decent. I think Sam's is up to like 15, so if we have to get it from Sam's, we will, but typically we can find a pretty decent deal at the Amish store. So we're definitely gonna run out of this for sure, because I think this is our last bag. This is like a cheddar and Monterey Jack. We do have a good bit of block cheese, so I could shred that fresh, which is probably better anyway, because then we're not getting the, what do they put in, like wood fibers or whatever they do, so it doesn't cake.
Sawdust.
Just some sawdust. So we'll shred that if we need to. I was thinking about waxing some cheese just in case. Typically it seems like as long as we don't open it and like our finger grease isn't on it, it seems to be fine. But if one of them would start to mold, I would probably just cut off the moldy spot and then wax it and it would be fine. So that's where we're at with the cheese situation. All right, so Zad felt like the bison that was left was a little bit thin because the babies are probably hungry. So they typically will eat whatever meat we cook. They just may not always eat the rest of it. So cut up a little ham, throw a little ham in there, so we'll put those on our nachos. Also, toddler towers. We have 2 of these. My parents found both of them, one at a yard sale and one on Facebook Marketplace. They're the best. I know they had some like falling hazard thing that went down like a few months ago. We've had no issues with them. They love them, especially at Christmas. Oh my gosh, when we were doing cookies, this entire floor was covered in flour and they just had the best time. I love these things. We literally use them every single day. So our favorite way to do nachos is Zad just layers on chips and cheese and meat and yumminess. And then he's just gonna put this in the oven on 350 till it's like brownish, and then add the salsa on top when it comes out. Broil it a little bit, yeah, if it needs it. This already looks amazing. Theme of the day here, smoked paprika. Gonna throw a little bit of that on there. All right, so Zuzu had a huge poop and then put her hand in it, so we just did a shower. All right, so dinner is plated. It looks amazing as always. We'll have a little bit left over if we need a snack, or we could use it tomorrow. One of our favorite things to do is take our leftovers and throw a dippy egg on it and call it breakfast. So that might happen with that. So this is what I'm doing tonight. These bison, ham, cheese, nachos. And everybody's hungry and ready to eat. So I don't know what the plan is for tomorrow. We kind of wing it most days. I will bring you whatever is happening tomorrow. Thanks for joining us for day 3.